All right. I would like to go ahead and call this meeting to order, the beer board for July 15th. It is 6 p.m. We do have a quorum. 4 out of 5 members are here. The first piece of business, it looks like we want to go ahead and approve the minutes from the June 17th meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. We have other business. We have a motion to nominate and elect a chairman and a vice chairman for their terms. I'll handle these separately. Because we don't have the sitting chairman here, I would like to go ahead and make a motion to defer item number 1, electing the chairman for the 1-year term.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And while I'm here, I would say in fairness to Dana, we should go ahead and defer that motion as well. So I'll make a motion to defer nominating the vice chairman for a 1-year term. You got a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Let's move on to new business. First piece of business, we have an off-premises beer permit application, Lucky 7 Discount Tobacco and Beer, located at 606 Waldron Road. Applicant is Shadi Mostafa. I apologize if I mispronounced that. And would you go ahead and come to the podium? And for the record, would you state your name and the address of the business?
Okay, my name is Shadi Mustafa. The address is 606 Waldron Road, Laverne, Tennessee 37086.
How long have you been operating the store?
Since June 1st.
June 1st, okay. Have you been selling any beer up to this point?
Beer? No, yeah.
Did you take the store over from someone else, or is this a new location?
Yes.
Okay.
We take over someone else.
Okay, that's what I thought. Just want to make sure. When you turned in your application, did you receive a copy of our beer ordinance?
A copy of what?
The beer ordinance, the regulations for the beer
Yeah.
permit? Okay. Did you read those? Do you have any questions about anything in that?
No, everything
ordinance?
clear.
Okay. Do you have any employees at the store?
Yeah, I have one employee with me.
One employee, okay. And is he also familiar with the beer ordinance?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, you are aware that any actions by him can impact your permit. So if he were to be caught violating one of our ordinances, your permit would be at risk, even though it was his violation. You understand that?
I understand.
Okay. Does anyone else on the board have any questions they want to ask? We did get the background check, and it came back clean.
Okay.
Does anyone else have any comments or want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve,
Second.
and we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. Will we have that form at the end of the meeting?
It will be tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Okay, so you can come back up here tomorrow, and we'll have the permit.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Just give Kathy a call and make sure.
Sure.
We should have it ready. Thank you.
Okay. The mayor's on it.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I've got a few.
Excellent. All right. Okay. And you're free to go, or you can hang around and enjoy the meeting if you like. All right. Next order of business, we have an on-premises beer permit application for Senor Burrito, located at 400B Old Nashville Highway. Jose David Hernandez Lopez. Yes, sir. Okay. And if you would, for the record, state your name and address into the microphone.
Jose D. Hernandez Lopez, 400 Old Nashville Highway, Laverne, Tennessee, 37086.
Thank you. Just some of the same questions. Did you receive a copy of the beer
Yes, sir.
ordinance? Okay.
Mhm.
You've read it and you've reviewed
Yes,
it?
I know all the rules about them.
Excellent. Okay.
Mhm.
And you have any
Thank you.
employees?
Well, my brother and another girl is a server, but
Okay.
we know what we have to do. ID.
Absolutely. That's I would say
Okay, I have a-
90% of the problems we have
Okay,
are
I have a-
involving ID.
I have one question on that. About those Mexicans, they don't have, like Tennessee, they can use the passport or,
Yeah, passport would be acceptable. one.
If you question it, you might want to speak to independent legal counsel to confirm that. I don't have my state laws handy. I imagine that if it's an identification that proves that they're over the age of 21, but you might want to confirm that with independent counsel before you start taking passports.
Okay, all right. I'm probably gonna take only Tennessee, or maybe for now,
Yeah.
make sure I'm be secure.
Well, I'm just, if it was a other state license, I assume that would be pretty straightforward.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
they-
Any state-issued
Usually-
identification document indicating their
All
date
right.
of birth being over the age of 21, I'd imagine be okay.
But if they like, they look like, you know what I mean, like older, but they don't have the ID?
Yeah,
Still?
I'm going to defer to our legal advice and suggest you seek your own counsel to answer that question.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay,
I think you're probably okay.
I better
but
today, it's better today have ID, right? Okay.
Yeah,
There you
what-
have
all right.
ID.
pick your ID.
Yeah,
I mean,
because
something
you
to
never
verify.
know when you have an inspector there or somebody.
I would like to challenge that because those documents can easily be fraudulent. And
Yeah.
on passports, there could be a picture of a younger person and you have an older person standing there.
Yes, I know. I
And
know.
that is one of our
Okay.
biggest crimes in
I
the
make sure I
state.
just take the Tennessee
So
one.
just driver's license.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. I believe that's all my questions. Does anyone else on the board have any questions for Mr. Lopez? Do we have a motion?
His background check came back clear as well.
Background check is pending, so any motion that we make, any approval would be subject to the background check coming back clean.
Okay,
So if we approve it and the background check were to come back with a problem, then the approval would not stand.
Okay.
okay, that mean I have to wait or?
Well, we don't know how long we think it's going to
Okay.
be done in a couple of days.
Okay.
So, but you won't be able to take control of your permit until basically by doing this, you don't have to wait until next month's
Okay,
meeting.
that's
We
great.
can go
I
ahead
really
and approve it
appreciate
pending the
that.
background check.
All right,
So,
thank you very much.
yeah, if we want to take that action, does anybody have a motion?
Motion to approve pending the background check.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a
I
second?
second that.
I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Kathy, I'm sorry, I didn't. Just wanted to make sure I got it for the record. Okay, we have
Thank
ayes.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right, thank you very much. You guys are very nice.
Thank
very-
you.
Thank you, pleasure.
Okay. Moving on, we have a motion to penalize, revoke, or suspend the beer permit for the Laverne Super Cheap Discount Tobacco and Beer for selling to a person under the age of 21. Mene Nadi, are you in? Okay. If you'll approach the podium and state your name and the address of the business for the record.
Sure. My name is Mina Nady. The address is 206 Old Nashville Highway, Laverne, Tennessee 3706.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Before we proceed, do we have the officer who was in charge here? If you wouldn't mind taking a seat, we'll have the officer approach and just give us a little overview of what happened. And if you can, could you state your name?
Officer Lewis Powell.
All right, thank you, Mr. Powell. And can you tell us the events that led to this occurrence?
On August the 30th, 2013, we conducted a alcohol sting with the businesses here. Went inside, we had a confidential informant go inside 206 on National Highway and attempt to purchase 24 ounce of Bud Light. According to the confidential informant, she showed Mr. Nada the ID, and he looked at it and was unable to verify the age and sold the CI the alcohol. And so therefore, we gave a misdemeanor citation for selling alcohol to a minor.
Okay. All right. Does anyone have any questions for the officer?
Yes, when you stated that he was unable to, I'm sorry,
If I could-
unable, unable to verify the ID, what method did he use? Did he use anything at all in the officer's?
As far as I know, they didn't have nothing in place where they can punch something into the computer. He just looked at the ID and, all right, gave a CI the alcohol.
Okay. Any other questions? No? Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank
All right, Mr. Knight, if you come back to the podium. You heard the officer. Do you have any dispute with anything that he stated?
Well, I don't, but as he said, he didn't have no intention to sell it to minors. It's my dad, first of all. And my second offense was the guy that, I don't know if you guys remember or not, I let him go because we got robbed, and the first offense, and so I didn't find somebody to work. My dad is almost retired. He's reaching 65 in a couple of months.
Okay.
So he wouldn't have his eyeglasses to check the ID. So he saw that she's okay, and he sold her the beer. So
Yeah.
that's why when we went to the Rutherford court, the judge retired the case and did him retire to the next March, and he gave him community service for 40 hours only. Instead, usually they give 100 hours of community service because he understands his way of age. But eventually, we have no intention to sell to minors. If he have any intention to sell to minors, he wouldn't check the ID whatsoever from the beginning.
Okay. So this was your father who?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. Just same last name. That was
Yes, it's my father.
Okay. Okay. All right. Any questions from the board?
If your father couldn't see that day, did he have somebody there working with him to look at things?
Well, I'm supposed to be working, but because we were looking for somebody to work, and I have to run to get some stuff for the stores from outside, because I have another store in Murfreesboro City. So I was running to get some stuff from Sam's. It was Friday morning, as far as I remember, and he was replacing me for a couple of hours. So potentially, he's not a full-time worker over there.
So the answer is no.
No, ma'am.
Now you said, so the employee, with your second offense, that employee is no longer with you?
No, that's why I have to let him go, and I was looking for somebody, and I couldn't find somebody to replace me at this point, so that's what's happened back to back.
Okay, yeah. And now, as far as the action within the court, that's a legal issue separate from here. What we determine here is if you were guilty of selling to a minor, and then we determine what action to take. So
I understand. I'm just explaining what's happened was because of his age, so I understand.
okay. Yeah, no, that's, appreciate that. Appreciate the feedback. Would it be okay if I opened it for discussion amongst the board? Can I?
If you're finished taking proof, or if he has anything more to say, you can certainly ask if
Okay.
he does. If he doesn't, the board is more than happy to discuss it openly.
So let me ask the board, does anyone else on the board have any questions for Mr. Nadi?
This is your third offense.
Yes.
What is different today than prior to this offense happening?
I don't understand what the questions mean, so.
Why would we not revoke your permit?
Well, I have somebody working right now, and he's full responsible for his actions until now, so. And I have the business since 2008. The first offense, I think it was in 2009, and from then until 2013, we were clear. We haven't had anything, and we have the 2 tickets back to back. I think we're a couple of months in between. So we're not intentionally to selling beer to minor, or we won't sell beer to minor because that's what we need to do. We don't need to do that. I mean, I've been in this business since 2002, and for my personal, I didn't have any tickets since 2002 until now. I used to have stores in Greenbrier, Murfreesboro City, and Nashville, and Laverne. So we're not intentionally in business to break the law. That's what I'm trying to say.
When was the second one?
The second one was, I think it was
Past
March,
December.
but
Well, we heard the second offense this past December,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was.
that was in March or something, or I'm not really sure what the dates.
Yeah, no,
There was a
it,
couple months before, or 3 months before this one.
Your last citation was July of 2013.
This is the one we're discussing right now, right? July.
the one that we're discussing right now.
It is.
Let me look here.
September 19th.
Is it August the date?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this one was August August of this year.
The
So
other one was July, so it's only a month,
Of last
less than a
year.
month in between.
It was last year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
August of last year.
Both of them was last year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
May I ask you what safeguards you've put in place to prevent this from happening again?
Everybody have to come to the store regardless. Right now, you have to show ID, and I bought them the yearly thing, so it's date by date, and they have to match the dates with the dates. Right now, if they're not sure about it, they don't accept the order.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is any other questions from the board? Okay. You can have a seat. I'd like to open up for discussion at this point amongst the board members. Typically, our beer ordinance does not lay out specific penalties for specific offenses. There's no, first offense is this, second offense is this, and third offense is this. With our ordinance, it's really left up to us. We have the option to, well, the first thing we have to determine is if there's guilt. And then once we determine if there's guilt or innocence, if we do find that he's guilty, then we have to determine the appropriate action. The main item that I wanted to discuss, which we haven't dealt with, as he mentioned, this is his third offense, but the first offense was in 2009. So it has been several years. It's really a question for us of, do we want to view this as a second offense, or do we just say the clock goes back to the beginning of time?
What was the penalty for the previous one?
The previous penalty, and I'm not sure if we have this, with a second offense we offer a 45-day suspension, or he can pay the fine. Do you know, I don't know if you have that handy.
It was 2,500.
Yes, well, yeah, it is a 2,500 fine. Did he pay the fine? Okay. Would you mind coming back to the podium? I'm sorry. With the last offense, did you pay the fine, or did you take the?
I didn't pay.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, so with the, he did pay the fine, and so there was no 45-day suspension. So what, does anyone have any thoughts or?
Well, I think the fine needs to be increased at the very least.
Well, and I'll invite our legal counsel to respond here, but I do not believe that we can charge a higher fine than what we have.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Maximum fine that this board can instill is a $2,500 civil penalty under, I believe it's under state law. So.
That's correct.
Okay. So,
Excuse me.
no, go ahead.
So if I understand correctly, he has the second one back in 2013,
That's right.
fires that person, replaces him with somebody who can't see.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
Is that the correct understanding?
I think what
I mean,
happened is the two stings were back to back before he came here. So when he came here in December, he had already been charged with the third offense. It has to get through the court system before it gets to us. So it's not necessarily that he fired that person and brought in his father. When he came here, that person was fired. He brought in his father to help.
Right.
So, but what you're stating is correct.
Okay.
He had one person who did it wrong, and he hired yet another person.
So
who
he
did-
fired this one to
Yeah.
clean it out and
That's
get
right.
somebody in before he could.
That's right. Yeah,
Okay.
that's correct. So that's definitely something that we can take into consideration. So
Where is it? May I ask you? Is your father still working for you?
he doesn't work for me. He's never been working for me. I didn't even pay him, but he's just come replace me when I need him. But I got somebody working at the store right now.
Let me ask you, are you going to have your father replacing you at any point in the store?
No, I don't think so.
Was your father made aware of the rules and policies in the city ordinances?
He did. He knows that. That's why he checked the ID. But I think his vision, it's commonplace at this time. He wasn't wearing his glasses, so he checked probably. I don't know what the officer wouldn't tell us what the age of the girl coming in, but he saw that. As far as he remember, he thought she's overage. That's why he sold her the beer. That's why he checked the ID from the first place.
You just said your father was not working for you, so he did not work for your store.
No, he didn't work. He was just replacing me for a couple of hours. He had bad experience about this before, but he's not working anymore. I mean, as I told you, I've been working since 2012 in this business, so he's been on and off all the time with me in the business, but he's not working at the location as a prime or full-time person.
So he had a violation like this once before, is that what you just said?
No.
I'm sorry.
What I'm trying to say, he have a bad experience about selling tobacco and beer, so he's not a brand new to brought in and leave him in the store without knowing anything. So he know the rules and regulation, not supposed to sell to minors, and the age of 18 or 21, cigarettes is 18 and beer is 21.
Was it legal for him to sell anything at all?
Well, and that's what I was going to, so you would not consider him an employee of the store?
No.
Okay. Well, and that's something that we can review. That would be a different matter than what we're dealing with here. But
Yeah.
that's definitely something that is open to discussion. As far as whether that's a violation of that would be a separate discussion, whether having a non-employee working there and selling beer is a violation. So.
Well, it's my business and he's my dad. We consider it as a family business, so he's trying to help me when we're not trying to avoid any violations because I
understand, and it gets into what may be a legal technicality of, what makes him an employee versus not.
Okay.
And again, we can't address that at this meeting anyway because it's not what's in front of us. But
Okay.
I just want to make sure I
that's-
understood correctly.
and that's absolutely fine. Yeah, we've got clarification on that. So, but going forward, he will or will not be helping at the store.
He will not.
Okay. All right. Okay. Go ahead. Sorry, Randall. Okay. So we have two issues before us to decide. The first one is whether we determine that he is guilty of violating our beer ordinance. So if somebody wants to make a motion as to whether or not he is guilty of violation of the ordinance, we'll hear that motion now.
I make a motion that he is guilty of violating the beer ordinance.
Okay.
I second that.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. So we have determined that you violated the beer ordinance. The next step would be penalty phase.
I make a motion for the penalty to be 10-day suspension plus a $2,500 fine.
Okay, we have a motion on the table. Do we have we can either have a second, or if we have no second, then it would fail?
If I could interject, and I can take a look into this if we need to, but generally the fine is also, it's really known as a civil penalty in lieu of a suspension that can be offered to the person who's being penalized if they choose to accept it instead of their license being suspended. So I don't think it's something that the board can automatically assess in addition to days for suspension. I think it's up to the applicant. If they choose that they don't want to have their license suspended, they can just go ahead and pay to where they can still sell beer in the interim.
Yeah.
So if that motion needs to be withdrawn, that might...
I'll withdraw the motion.
Okay. Prior to another motion, just as a reminder to the board, historically what we have done, first-time penalty has been a 2-week suspension with a $2,500 civil penalty in lieu available. Second offense has typically been 45 days with the option of a $2,500 civil penalty in lieu. Our typical third offense has been a 75-day suspension with no option for civil penalty. Again, our ordinance does not lay out what penalties we have to apply. However, in the experience of this board, if we are inconsistent in our application of penalties, that opens us up for litigation. And we've had some of our decisions overturned by the county court by not being consistent. So I would say, again, we need to think, do we view this as a second offense or a third offense? That's my opinion on it. And just as a reminder, second offense, we've typically offered a 45-day suspension or a $2,500 civil penalty in lieu. And a third offense has typically been a 75-day suspension with no option for civil penalty. Again, you're not required to make a motion for any of those, but that is historically what this board has done. So with that in mind, would anybody care to make a motion?
Well, I'm going to ask a question. His last penalty was as a second offense, correct?
We treated it as a second offense. That's correct. So
that's already on the books.
that's correct, yes. So
then either we go forward or...
The only thing that makes this unique, and again, in my
Is the time
experience on the
span.
board, yeah, exactly, the time span from the first to the second, this one being the third, we have never considered a reset period. We have the option to do that now, and again, we can choose anything. I mean, you're limited to a $2,500 civil penalty. Any civil penalty would be in lieu of suspension. So if we offered a civil penalty, it would be in lieu of any days of suspension. So, but I mean, we're not limited to this. We could say that this is unique, and instead of 75 days, it's 60 days, or it's 100, or whatever it may be. Revocation is an option as well. There's nothing in the ordinance that limits us. So it's totally up to the discretion of this board what the penalty would be. So, any other comments or questions or motions?
But you clearly stated that past practice is an important element in our decision-making. And the second offense is a 45-day suspension.
That's correct.
Based on what I've heard today, I would like to motion for a 45-day suspension.
Is that
Okay.
with no civil penalty in lieu?
No.
Okay. All right. We have a motion on the table for a 45-day suspension. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No. I'm going to vote no on that. So we have, the motion does carry. It's 3-1. So you, I believe it's effective immediately. You have a 45-day suspension of your beer permit. So in 45 days, I believe you will need to turn that into the city administrator?
He might want to call and speak with the city administrator. There's a process that has to be done in terms of a form that is filled out and it is posted at the beer permit holder's site. And then it could be 14 days. I'm not sure, but within a certain amount of time, he'll have to actually physically turn in his beer permit to the city.
Okay. What about it? Does he have to stop selling beer immediately?
Immediately, I'd have to look at the ordinance. Kathy, do you know from?
I know when they did the decision on whether it's suspended or the fee, they had 7 days to make that decision. So if it's a straight suspension, I don't know, we would need to check with Bruce.
Imagine it's still to be signed by the mayor, correct?
Yes.
So I'd assume that it's effective at the time that it's signed by the mayor,
I would.
which is likely tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay. That's the decision.
Actually, no, it's not signed by the mayor. It would be signed by the city administrator or city recorder. And I have Michael's name on that also because he's presiding over the meeting. So I've got it with me.
Presumably sometime tomorrow when it's signed.
Yeah.
Okay. That is the decision of this board. It is final. I don't know if there's any other business to tend to. So I guess I would say the best action is for you to get in touch with Bruce Richardson tomorrow, and he'll let you know the next steps. Okay.
So when is my 45 days start? I will know tomorrow or today or?
I would call the city administrator tomorrow to providing you a copy of the form that will be filled out that verifies the suspension time, and when that is signed by him, it will become effective.
So I'll stop by your office in the morning. So I'm okay to still be tonight, right?
I'd say that's fine.
Okay, until they get the ordinance from you, because we'll count from, you'll tell me the dates when you can start and when you can stop, right?
Right, you have to have the official order and we have to do the paperwork.
Okay,
Yeah. Okay.
thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay. All right. We have another piece of new business. Motion to penalize, revoke, or suspend the beer permit for the Pilot Travel Center, number 052, for selling beer to a person under the age of 21. Do we have a representative from Pilot?
You do.
The,
my name is Herschel Stokes.
Could you speak into the microphone, please?
Yes, sir. I'm Herschel Stokes. I'm going to be representing Pilot Travel Centers. Been at that location roughly about 6 weeks now. The two people that actually was present due to the validation is no longer with the company due to the situation that actually took place.
Okay. All right. Is Pilot Travel Center a responsible vendor with the state of Tennessee?
Without a doubt.
Okay. Okay. All right. And if I understand correctly, that does have an impact on our actions as a board, does it not?
It does, pursuant to state law. I think we dealt with that the last round of suspension and revocation hearings, and I'm reading the TCA right now. I believe that the civil penalty can only exceed $1,000. Let me read this real quick.
Sure, that's fine. Yeah, we'll go ahead and, all right. As far as the questions I had, you answered the first one. The employee is no longer on staff. It does appear this is your second offense. And doing some research, it looks like the last one was 2010, so it has been a few years.
Yes, sir.
What procedures do you guys have in place to prevent this type of occurrence?
Within the last year, they rolled out several different technologies. First thing, it's every transaction we actually occur within our locations. We ask for, of course, the stated identification.
Mm-hmm.
But that stated identification on the back side, we have the options. We can actually physically scan the ID.
Okay.
We'll upload the date of birth, as well as entering the information on the back, the front side of the driver's license, the full date of birth, the month, the day, as well as the year, actually, on the driver's license.
I apologize. I jumped forward here. We should have gotten the officer's testimony before we called you to the podium. If you don't mind having a seat, we'll call you back here in a minute. We can have the officer rejoin us. And I don't know if it's necessary, but just so we don't get in trouble, go ahead and state your name again.
Also, Lewis Powell.
All right, thank you. And can you tell us about the events at the Pilot Travel Center?
30th of August, 2013, we did an alcohol sting on some businesses here in the city. One of them, which was Pilot at 535 Walden Road. We sent our confidential informant in to attempt to purchase a 24-ounce can of Bud Light. I was able to do it. Mrs. Ramirez actually looked at the ID and still sold the CI the alcohol.
She didn't swipe it or punch anything in the
As far as
computer?
I know, no. We made contact with her later, about a week later, and she said she was sorry and she kind of remembered what she did wrong, and she was very nice and polite. So that's the end of that.
It does happen. And, does anyone have any questions for the officer? No? No? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, if you return to the podium. Okay. Just to follow up on the officer's testimony, any idea why she didn't swipe the driver's license or enter it, or
It's
in a hurry, or?
it's no telling. I personally don't. I've never met the individual myself. It's possibly just human error. It's just not going through the process, unfortunately.
Yeah, that happens.
Usually, all the locations I ever run, I have a statement. Each employee will actually have to read through, as well as sign off on, and identifying, going through the process. Actually, checking the IDs, as well as the state, as well as the county regulations, because different counties actually requires different things, as well as different areas. But unfortunately for that individual, they didn't follow the procedures.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they are no longer with us.
Sure. Yeah, does unfortunately happen from time to time. What questions does the board have? I mean, it sounds to me that you guys have all the procedures in place to prevent this, and so as it happens, one slips through from time to time. So I'll go ahead and open it up. Any board discussion? Does anybody have anything to discuss before we make a determination of guilt or innocence?
How often is your stuff rebooted, your employees, basically? How often do they re-go through the training?
It is a training. Is actually one of their first hire through the orientation. They do have a video. It usually takes about 35 minutes, as well as a questionnaire, which is it's roughly about 20 questions at the end of the video. How recent do we actually go through that? Usually once every year they will actually have a remodification actually with the training, as well as the different, like I said, different areas requires different things in each county I've been in. And whenever anything changes, like Franklin, Kentucky, if anything changes with the liquor laws or beer license information, we do make that known actually to the individual. We usually have it actually typed up posted actually near the counter and have everybody actually sign off on it. And that's, by their actually signing off on it, spreading their awareness, they actually physically read it, as well as nothing else, try to protect us as well.
Okay. So at least yearly they get returned.
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent, thank you so much.
Anyone else on the board have any questions or discussion items? No? Okay, do we have a motion to determine whether or not he is guilty of violating our beer ordinance or not?
I make a motion that there is sufficient evidence that
Second that?
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Now, as to the next part, the penalty phase. Any insight?
Did I learn anything? I'll just quickly refer to TCA 57-5-108, which state law dealing with revocation and suspension of permits. Subsection 2A specifies that when dealing, and I won't read it verbatim, but when dealing with an incident where a clerk makes a sale to a person under the age of 21, if they're a responsible vendor and have complied with the requirements of TCA 57-5-606, which I do not have before me, but presumably if they are a responsible vendor and he's verified that they are in compliance with those requirements, that the board can only assess a civil penalty not to exceed $1,000 for each offense dealing with the sale to a minor.
Okay. All right. Mr. Henson, do you mind if I borrow your pen? Why don't you read that TCA ordinance to me one more time, the number?
TCA 57-5-108.
Okay. A reason for that. I'm going to go ahead on this one. I will make a motion that, subject to him being in compliance with TCA number 57-5-108, my motion is to assess a $1,000 civil penalty. That's my motion. I have a second.
I second that.
Second, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's the last item I have on my agenda. Does anyone else have any items for discussion amongst the board?
No, sir.
The only thing I will add on the previous permit holder, we can discuss and investigate whether there is another violation of our ordinance. If there is, we can certainly send him another letter and have him come back at a later date and discuss that. So, okay, with no other business, I will call this meeting adjourned.